Hey Bruce, good morning everybody. Bruce, can you see my slide positioning your business,
Most
closing the value
certainly.
gap?
It's a beautiful slide. But it's a good thing I mentioned it because otherwise you wouldn't have put the slide up.
Fantastic. So guys, we've heard all about, Donnie spoke, Johan spoke, we heard about the unpacking of the problem in terms of looking at external factors. And I'm going to spend a couple of minutes track changing to the solution. And we had excellent input from various panelists. And one thing that came up, and that one phrase that came up quite a lot, was this phrase of the value gap, which is essentially a huge problem. So you might sitting here today as a rental asset manager or as a property manager, and you're feeling this gap. It's a real thing in your business. And Donnie spoke about pricing earlier, and Leroy also mentioned it. You also might find yourself in this dead zone when it comes to pricing. And in this session, I'm going to zoom in on the solutions. And I'm going to lay a foundation and look at the building blocks, how to close this value gap. And it's essentially addressing the topic of positioning. So to close this value gap, I'll unpack positioning, and I'm going to raise specific practical questions that you as a property manager or rental asset manager can ask in terms of what can you do to close this value gap. So let's begin. So why does this value gap exist? Well, it's because there is this discrepancy between the value that you're delivering and the value that's being perceived. And to close this value gap, we need to position ourselves and put fundamental building blocks in place to basically cross this divide. And so what is positioning in its basic form? Well, it is how you are seen and how you want to be seen. So the services that you're offering and your brand that you're offering to your client is perceived by your customer, and he's comparing it relatively to your competitors or other alternatives that's out there. So to unpack these building blocks, there's a couple of fundamental questions that you as property manager and as rental asset manager needs to ask, and you need to do it by focusing inwardly, looking at internal factors within your business. And if you can answer these questions, it will help you shape your positioning and create a position in the minds of your customers. So firstly, the first fundamental question that you need to ask is you need to decide what's your value proposition. Essentially, what's your business model? Now, this is the unique value that your services and your brand offers to your customer. And it's all about articulating the benefits and advantages that you are going to give to them and makes you the best choice in their eyes. So there's a couple of questions that you need to ask you, and use this as a checklist to package your value proposition. Firstly, you need to ask, whose problems are we solving? You need to have a clear understanding of your market, who they are, what they need, and what is the value that they're looking for. And we often fall into the trap of wanting to be everything for everybody. And that is not a great strategy to follow. Then secondly, you need to decide what's your bouquet of services and at what price point you're going to offer it. Because ultimately that will determine your profitability, and that word came up a lot as well today. Remember, your customers use your price to evaluate and scrutinize your value. And there's a saying that goes, in the absence of value, price will always be an issue. And that hits very hard if you think about it. And many of us are stuck in this place where we feel our clients do not appreciate our value. And it's reflected in the way that we price. Donnie also mentioned a couple of pricing strategies. And I think it's critical that business owners listening to this webinar today, you need to decide in which price zone do you want to operate and where you want to be positioned. So ultimately, you have to formulate your value proposition. Your next question that you have to ask is, how do you deliver the value that you bring into the table? Essentially, what's your business structure? Remember, we're in the service business. So your people will always be your most and important asset. So you need to set up a team and determine their roles and functions to deliver on the value that you are promising your market out there. Then secondly, they need to be able to process it, to deliver service consistently. Because think about it, consistent delivery of service builds trust with your clients and credibility. And over time, that trust is the glue between in your relationship. So it's critical that you enable them with specific standard operating procedures and processes. But your people also need solutions and technology or systems to enable them to deliver world-class service consistently. Systems creates the efficiency that we're looking for, not necessarily working harder, but working smarter. And some of our panelists also alluded to that earlier. And then lastly, you need strategic partners to help you position and differentiate your value offering. And guys, honestly, sometimes our partners can help us bring the value to the table or they can actually hold us back. So choosing the right partners is critical. And then lastly, how you deliver your value is all about communicating your value to your customers. Sorry, guys, I see there's an issue on my slide. Sorry about that. So the last question is, how do you communicate your value? And communicating your value is about 3 specific points. Firstly, how you report. And your reporting is all about how you package your value and deliver it to your customer on a monthly basis. Remember, we're in services, so our services are intangible. So the way you report to your customer is communicating what are you bringing to the table and what's the effort that it took to communicate this value. The second bullet that should have been there, which is not there, is your engagement, your client engagement. We call that the moments of truth. What is your specific touch points with clients? And those moments or engagements with clients can be either magical or it can be really disappointing because it's way below expectations. So your reporting and your moments of truth, engagement, communicate your value. The last value communicator or communication of value is all about branding and marketing. So when clients are visiting your website or engaging on your social media, what story are they hearing? Because communicating and packaging your value should be unique and different, related to what competitors are doing. So is your website just more of the same, or is it really telling a compelling story that's addressing their needs and pain points, and then promising unique value to your clients? So that's the 3 fundamental building blocks of positioning. And the bottom line is you need to determine how you are going to structure these building blocks in your business to cross the value gap. Bruce.
Absolutely. I think what we need is a little bit of a support crew here, Toby. So I'm going to ask Hendrik Hoffman, Marcus, Leroy, and Maritza to come back to us as well. And just to get them to help you close the value gap, I think you might want to kick off with Maritza.
Okay, so I'm going to focus a little bit more on community management now. And let's focus on the closing the value gap in terms of community management. Now, Dani spoke earlier about the expectations of trustees. And if you think about it, trustees have certain risks and responsibilities that they carry. We spoke about this fiduciary duty. So at the end of the day, there's financial, legal, admin, asset management, and a lot of other risks and responsibilities that trustees shoulder. So the property manager is fulfilling the role to help them shoulder that. And on the other side of the gap, there's the trustees that's fulfilling the promise to their owners living in their schemes. So the value gap needs to be closed. And if we think about that caption that Dani gave earlier, just remember he spoke about the social media post that was made, where a client literally said, "What is my managing agent actually doing for me? And what are we paying him for?" And it feels like we are doing all the work. So at the end of the day, what needs to happen, and whether this is the truth that this guy is experiencing or perception, it's creating doubt in the minds of this specific customer. So the building blocks when it comes to property management or the community management side of things is firstly, as I mentioned earlier, you need to decide your target market. Who are you going to offer services to? Which communities? The size of these communities? Which areas? Which demographics? And what specific needs do you want to address with these specific clients? Then secondly, you need to determine your services that you're offering. Are you a full service managing agent, or just offer certain services like just financial services? And then lastly, add a price point to that services that you're offering, because your price is communicating something about your value. Secondly, the next building block is just harnessing your team, your systems and processes, and your partners to be able to create and package your value. Now, you need all of those 3 building blocks to really produce the magic. And if they are aligned, that's when the magic happens. If one of these building blocks are missing, you can seriously jeopardize the way you deliver your value to your customers. And then lastly, you need to communicate your value. And we spoke about reporting. And today, a lot of us are sending out financial information to trustees, but you are doing much more than just financials. There's a lot of other work and effort that goes into the services that you're offering, and you need to report on that. Secondly, our main touch points is meetings. Just think about all your AGMs, SGMs, trustee meetings. They need to be professional, compliant, and really, they need to be world-class. Lastly, you need to be visible, and that's where your branding comes in, your marketing, your branding, which aligns with your value proposition. Your story, what you're promising needs to be enticing, needs to be unique, so that your customers can experience the value that you're communicating. So I'm going to introduce Maritza, because we're going to move over to solutions now and look at how WeConnectU is going to help our clients with the software that we develop to specifically look at creating and delivering a value from a people, systems, processes, and partners point of view, and then also look at reporting. And at the end of our discussion between me and Maritza, we'll bring in our panelists and we got a couple of questions for them to ask. So Maritza, I'm just going to stop my screen and I'm going to hand over to you. So Maritza, Bonnie spoke earlier about this platform of value versus postbox, and that you highlighted the roles of the role of the managing agent here in the middle circle, and also the various roles of people within that circle. So can we start by you just unpacking a little bit the needs of the people or the role players within the community management business and what their specific needs are?
Okay, thanks, Toby. Hello to everybody. I'm really excited to be sharing some of these ideas. So if we look at this concept and we look at specifically people, the roles within the managing agent, the first one we can talk about is the business owner. Now, this business owner, he wants to work on his business, not in his business, and he has the need for compliance, manageability, scalability, and obviously profitability. The next team member that we can talk about is the financial team. And these people are responsible for creating a whole bunch of value by doing financial processing and so forth. They get instructions and requests from all the partners in the blue circle, as well as from their fellow teammates, like the community manager and the business owner. And they have the need for fast, accurate financial processing. And then we have the community manager, or the portfolio manager. This person manages about 20 to 30 community schemes, or we can call them companies. And he is, or she is, the one that faces the main stakeholder, the trustee. So that's why we call them the face of the business. And they are responsible for communicating the value that's being created by the rest of the team and themselves. So they have a very big need to be informed on progress, because they have to communicate that progress and value to the trustees. So they're depending on the team. And I think it's important to see that there's real dependencies between these team members. They need information from one another. And this shows us that property management is really just a team sport. And the different team members are in most cases very reliant on one another. But if we move on to say, how does that collaboration work? We'll see that in reality, the main collaboration tool today is emails. And we heard from Hendrik that emails, and we've heard emails as a theme throughout the whole day as a big problem, because emails inherently is a reactive tool. So you physically can't reply to an email if you haven't received it yet. So you're waiting for someone to ask you something and then you're responding. There's also no transparency across team members with emails. Every time you want something, or you need someone to do something, or you need information, you physically need to send an email. So these emails are just creating more emails, and this is fueling communication and is causing inefficiency. So it's creating silos in our teams where the one team can't see what the other team is doing without having to send another email. So how do we solve these challenges? That's what Toby said, we're going to talk about solutions. So let's move over to the solution. So what we need to do to prevent this postbox effect, because these emails, it's a postbox driver, we need to do that by bringing the team together and solving the email problem. First, internally, amongst the team, and then we need to have a look at how we can solve this email problem on an external, from an external perspective. So we need to reposition emails. And Hendrik already stole a little bit of my story by saying we need to reposition emails, but at least someone's listening, like Bruce said. So we need to reposition emails and start working on the same solution, allowing parties to see progress without having to ask for it. And what is more, the minute we start working on the same solution, this will break down these silos that we have created within our red circle or our team. So In summary, what we need to do is if we want to position our business as a platform of value and not a post box, then we have to bring the team together and solve this email challenge and increase efficiency across the entire team. So Toby already mentioned people need tools, and this is where systems and processes comes in. That's the second building block on that value gap bridge that Toby explained. I would like to share some of the exciting features, new features, and then also highlight a couple of existing features on the solution that addresses especially these two aspects, the email problem and then the big need for efficiency. So if we look at this is what on the CMS WeconnectU solution, this is the global KPI dashboard. And this dashboard gives you an overview of all the KPIs that are being managed from within the system. So it provides line of sight to the respective teams. Golden word, if it is managed from within the system. So if we talk about the business owner, we mentioned that he has the need to work on his business, not in, and he needs manageability. And the global dashboard gives that to him. If everyone in the team is working from in the solution, he would be able to highlight red flags really easily from the global reports and the global dashboard. So next, we have what we call the calendar sidebar. So this feature was actually launched about a year ago, and the main purpose of it was to assist the community manager to change his approach from very much a reactive approach towards compliance items to a more proactive approach towards these items. So the calendar sidebar, in essence, what it does is you can set up compliance items on a global level that these are compliance items that must be done in every community. And the calendar sidebar then takes those items and collates it into a daily action list, showing you what needs action on a specific day. Because compliance, in essence, it's very predictable, and it should be approached in a proactive way rather than a reactive way, because that is what's going to give us headspace if we first deal with that proactive items and then move over to the reactive items, which we know won't stop. It's a reality that the dog will bark and someone will break a rule and the geyser will burst, and we would need to deal with those reactive things. But we're saying that the change in approach is do your proactive items first, and that's where the calendar sidebar comes in. What this calendar sidebar also does is it assists the team to be able to see progress without having to ask for it. So the financial team can now see what meetings are coming up in the community manager's world. And the community manager, in turn, can have a look at, are we making the internal deadlines for the financial statements to be delivered on time from the auditors? And this can be done all without emails. So what it does is it is breaking down silos between these different team members where they can see the action and the progress on a specific item without having to email another team member. And it feels like I need to now say, but wait, there's more, because we are busy with a very exciting feature. We are combining jobs and to-dos into a very powerful feature called tasks. Now, and tasks will play a critical role in our mission to solve the email challenge. So if you click on add task, you will be able to see this window. And this is a quick task. So a quick task is, for example, if you need to remember to buy money for the gate, and it can be something that happens every month, it can be set up as a quick task, as a recurring quick task. Say, for example, it's a more comprehensive task like a maintenance request or a burst geyser. You'd be able to click on more options, and this will then open all the other fields to pull in suppliers, add feedback, a category, and so forth on this more comprehensive task. Now, what does this mean for emails? I think this is where the change in approach comes in a little bit. So let's take an example. If, for example, the community manager is getting a request from the trustees to take certain action on, say, handed over data. Now, what usually happens today is that email is forwarded to the person, the creditors clerk or the finance team member that needs to now do the action. And then subsequently what happens is they need to follow up again to say, have we done it, when the trustees have followed up on that item with us. So just a whole bunch of emails for a simple task. So what we're suggesting is when you get that email where you need something or you need another team member to do something, create a quick task for them and say, assign the member. So instead of forwarding the email, just say, please, hand over this data approved by the trustees, assign your creditors clerk, and make the due date in the future, tomorrow in 2 days' time. Because what will happen is tasks will also be visible on our calendar sidebar. So we're bringing in all the tasks to also be on the calendar sidebar. So now, if you've assigned that task to another team member, it will be on that daily action list, and you will be able to open that task and see whether it's done or not without having to email them. So this will also probably, if you choose your due date correctly, it will happen before the trustees follow up with you. So we really are looking at reducing emails by just using a quick task rather, so that you can reduce those internal emails. Okay, so we've spoken about the internal emails. I don't know, Toby, do you have any comments on this the tools we've suggested, so tasks and as a solution to the internal, and before we jump into the external side?
Maritza, I think I'm in sales and I sit in boardrooms every day, and it's just always so evident. When I sit with customers and do a needs analysis, it is so evident that emails is a massive driver of inefficiency in the business. And most of it, as Donnie alluded earlier, is internal emails. And I think the calendar sidebar that's got these added features of not just focusing on compliance, but focusing on more day-to-day tasks, maintenance, repairs, issuing a transfer instruction, all those things will be a massive game changer. And I think the clients are going to really see the effect that it's going to have in their businesses in terms of trying a different approach to make emails such a big issue in their company. So I'm excited about it, and I think our clients will be too.
Well, that's good. All right. So if we now move over, obviously all our emails are not coming from internally. There's also some emails coming from, let's start with the auditors and attorneys. Now, these people already have access to the solution. Auditors can log into the system and get all the information that they need. Attorneys or debt collectors can log into the system and get the age analysis, make debt note updates already today. You just need to set them up and grant them access. But we know that the majority of the emails are not coming from them. It's coming from the trustees and owners. So we're in the process of developing a brand new owner and trustee portal called Community Space. And this will allow owners and trustees to log in and access information in an easy-to-use solution. But we were not going to stop there. So once we're done with this, the next step will be to develop a trustee app. So a trustee app, imagine external requests from your trustees being logged directly on the app, bringing it into the solution in trackable tasks where you can, without getting emails, do all the collaboration on that task and not email the trustee. But then removing the collaboration from without the inbox, reducing the number of emails, and rather taking that collaboration to the one solution where we want all the role players to be involved and collaborate. So I think, Toby, this will be the last piece in the puzzle in the mission to solve the email challenge. At the moment, there's already a whole bunch that we can do today, but I just wanted to do a little bit of looking down the road of where we are going with this solving of the email challenge.
So I think just moving to the next point, we spoke about efficiency and or inefficiency. So we're going to look a little bit around solutions regarding creating more efficiency in the business. And when I sit in boardrooms, very many of my discussions is also with the finance team of property management businesses. And it's always very interesting that the feeling is not that there's inefficiency, but there's a frustration with the volume of workload. Just think if you've got a portfolio that's all got their own bank accounts. There's so much time that goes into downloading bank statements, uploading bank statements, allocations of transactions. It's fairly a big mountain to climb on a daily basis. So the volume is the challenge. How are we going to create efficiency that is linked to emails, but also linked to some financial workflows within our companies today?
Okay, Toby, let me highlight some of the biggest efficiency wins that already exist in the solution. So you mentioned that it's an inefficient way of uploading these cash books. There's one step back before that. There's still a whole bunch of financial teams in the industry that's creating these transactions manually, one by one. They are not even yet at the export phase, the importing phase. So what I want to share today is we're going to have a look at bulk banking and cash book uploads, and then I want to move over to another side of the finance team, which is supplier payments. I'm going to talk about a new authorization page, bulk exports, and then a recently launched feature called recurring payments. So I think the majority of the finance teams are in the space where they are uploading cash books, but they are doing it one community at a time, which is obviously not very scalable, because the more communities you get, the more uploads you have to do on a daily basis. So there's a definite cap on efficiency there. Bulk banking is a feature that already exists from within the banks and the solution that enables you to export a single file for all your single bank communities, one file. You can then upload that one file into the solution, and the transactions will be updated in the respective single bank communities. And once you've done that, you can take it one step further. You can also, from a global level, run your rules. And this will be allocation rules that actually allocates the transactions in the respective communities with the click of a button. So next, I want to move over to our supplier payments. So supplier payments are captured, and they are a vast amount of supplier payments that is expected from the managing agency. So these are from ad hoc expenses to recurring payments, stuff that must be paid every month. Everything that's captured in the solution will be on the supplier authorization page. So we're on the process of updating the supplier authorization page with a brand new and improved look with improved efficiency. So this is a sneak peek on the new payments page, and payments will automatically be sorted in 3 tabs. You'll be able to see manage payments, then everything that is in the exported tab, paid within the last 30 days. So when we're talking about efficiency, I think it's very important to talk about a decluttered view. So we are just more efficient if we only see what we need to when we are busy with something. Everything else just clutters our world and makes us a little bit more inefficient. So we're also adding advanced filtering on this page. So you would be able to filter based on a supplier and a whole bunch of fields. So if, for example, you just want to work on your CSOS payments, you'll be able to use this filter functionality to filter on just CSOS payments, and your view will change to only show you the CSOS payments. Payments will also be shown as payment cards. So the previous page was a flat page. Now it will be payment cards. And what this is doing is it's enabling us to add additional information. So if you click on a payment card, there'll be more information available without you having to go look for it. So we've added the supplier's information, the banking details of the supplier, if that is one of the checks that you are doing before you authorize a payment. We've also added an action log on this, showing you exactly who authorized and what action was taken by a different team member on this specific payment. So we spoke about emails, and I think I need to just mention here that another source of emails is when we are communicating with our trustees to obtain approval from them on payments. Now, that is an existing feature from within the solution, that you can send an email from a global level requesting authorization from your trustees, one email to all the different communities, asking them to come and authorize their payments on the supplier page. So that's also a definite win for our email challenge that we spoke about. And then we mentioned bulk banking. So there's a flip side to the cash book upload that you can do with bulk banking. It also allows you to export a single payment file. And this single payment file can be one file across a whole bunch of single bank communities that you download from a global page. And then that file you can upload into the bank, and it will create these payments in the different single bank communities' bank accounts. So instead of downloading a payment file per community, or worse even, and this to be we're seeing a lot, is people are still doing the efficiency work on the solution, but then the minute they go to the bank, they're recapturing those supplier invoices on the bank, obviously making huge amount of room for error, and the efficiency, it's just like an efficiency drainer if you duplicating your work. So this is one file for all your payments that you can do there.
Marissa, if I can just come in here, I think I want to agree with you there. I'm seeing in my discussions with clients that this process is so evil-driven, because you receive your emails, invoices from suppliers. It gets sent to the trustees for approval via email by most probably the community manager. They get it back. This has to be printed, filed, stacked for the auditors later on, and it really creates just another mountain of emails that's actually unnecessary. So I think by changing your approach and using some existing features, but also some of the features that you're showing now, the solution will be a game changer in terms of how email volumes are reduced significantly in our companies.
Yeah, I definitely agree to Avi. So lastly, I just want to go through the recently deployed feature called recurring payments. So a lot of these supplier payments actually needs to be done every month. So for example, the caretaker's wage, or the security guard, or the garden service that needs to be paid every month. So with this payment, with recurring payments, you'll be able to set up variable or fixed recurring payments. And what this will do is it will provide the finance team with a list of draft invoices that's already pre-populated with a whole bunch of repetitive fields that they can now, as they receive the invoice, just add to that draft invoice payment card, fill in the amount, and click create. So it will give them an action list where all the recurring payments for the month are already as draft invoices. So you can see, you'll also be able to create multiple invoices at a time. So if you want to work on them, say for example, a fixed recurring invoice, you don't need to do much with that, because you already have all the information. You need to pay your 5,000 Rand for garden service every month. You can set that up to be ready upon creation, and then you can select from the recurring page all of your ready invoices. You can create, click all of them, and then bulk create all of those recurring payments. So when we create the supplier invoice from here, it will land on that same page, the supplier authorization page, and it will be part of your next bulk payment export. So no additional work in the sense of having to get it paid. It will just automatically be part of your process. Do your recurring payments, and it will be on the next bulk banking export that you do. So I think by combining bulk banking and recurring payments, it can really offer a huge amount of efficiency, and this will address the need for the finance team member, because remember we said he wants fast and accurate processing, and I think these two features are really at the core, provides that very fast, very efficient financial processing.
Okay, Maritza, so I mean, what you talked about is pretty much creating a value proposition under the banner of creating and delivering value, where your team is structured, they are enabled with systems and processes to become more efficient, and also drawing in the strategic partners to work with you and create that collaboration. So the last building block that I just want to quickly mention, it's going to be a couple of seconds, is just communicating your value. Reporting. Maybe, Maritza, if you could just show the next slide, please. One of the most important things that you can do every month is package a community report and send on to your trustees that's really communicating every single aspect that you are responsible to manage on their behalf. Remember, you're managing risk and responsibilities on behalf of the trustees. And our community report that you literally produce every month with a click of a button and can send in bulk to all your communities is essentially taking segments of your workload in terms of compliance, finances, operational aspects like maintenance repairs, warnings and penalties issued, units that are in transfer. And what we found with a community report like this is that it's really packaging your value. And when you communicate your value is better perceived. And the win here that we've seen with community reports that are sent from this solution by clients using all the facets of our solution is that you've got more informed trustees that are calmer because they have transparent input in everything that you're doing. There's better collaboration between you, and they see that. And then lastly, it makes meetings much more streamlined and focused because meetings are no longer running, specifically trustee meetings and AGMs for that matter, focusing on small matters, but rather focusing on important matters. And it's really positioning the community manager in a different way. It positions him as a more of a consultant or an advisor to clients, focusing on important things. So the value of packaging your value and communicating your value on a monthly basis through a report like this is really massive. So on that note, I want to introduce our panelists again, and I want to ask Leroy, Marcus, Hendrik, and Jonathan just to join us again. And I want to start by asking Leroy. Maritza, can you just go back one slide, please?
There we go.
Thank you. Good stuff. Leroy, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Toby.
Cool, man. So, Leroy, we spoke about the people aspect of community management, and we know that we're in a service-based business, so people are working with people. We've also looked at solutions that's enabling these people to deliver and communicate value. As a business owner, is there any other aspects regarding people or from the people perspective that you think is important that we need to keep in mind?
Thank you, Toby. This is quite an interesting subject to touch on. And me and you especially have had some discussions in the past about the importance of a system like WeconnectU to ensure transparency for clients, to work at scale, like Maritza just was talking about the bulk banking, definitely preaching to the converted here. We won't be able to manage our business without that integration. And then to manage the risk for all stakeholders involved, that's crucial. Something else I'd like to mention on that is that this is now more or less expected by clients. It's a shift that I believe has happened in the industry in the past 5 years, where that might have been a differentiating factor 5 years ago. Now that's a constant. Clients expect these kind of systems, whether it's WeconnectU or something similar. They want live information and they want regular reporting. But the people aspect, I believe we can't get away from. So from the perspective of a managing agent, I believe we often get lost in the day-to-day emails, invoice payments, compliance, and we forget that there are people that call that community their home. And for many of the owners, it may be their biggest investment. So these might be some of the reasons why we often get confronted with clients that wear their heart on their sleeves. The issue that they're experiencing relates to their home, and that for me is one of the most private and personal places in my life. So in that situation, they want to act with a person. They do not want to look at a screen. It might be some of the more frustrating things that we have to deal with as property managers, but for the client in that situation, there's no substitute for that personal interaction. So the challenge here for me is for the property manager to maintain boundaries that we can discuss at length, manage expectations, and then also still important things to foster those good relationships with owners and trustees. The system can help with that, but from time to time, that personal interaction is crucial. So then what I would like to mention is the method that we use for this interaction. Of course, that needs evolution. We've talked about emails and the issue with regards to that at length today. But for me, the priority is not to reduce personal contact. That remains important to the long-term relationships with communities, be it owners, trustees, or investors. So in our business as well, the people are the most important aspect for us. Our property managers, our support staff, those are the people that make us either fail or succeed at the end of the day. So for us, training and education remains paramount to support our staff and to navigate the difficulties that we have also discussed today.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Leroy. I think from my perspective, what I'm seeing is that if guys are bogged down by emails, like which a lot of community managers are struggling with, and that snowball effect of inefficiency, it basically makes them completely reactive, and they pretty much don't have time for anything else. And once your people and your systems and processes start aligning, it frees up time to actually start focusing more on relationships and the needs of your clients, managing expectations, training them, and that's the big win. So yeah, I don't know if you agree with that.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Thank you. Marcus, I want to ask you, I mentioned I was on your LinkedIn profile the other day, and I saw that you were a project manager in your previous life, and ultimately you understand the importance of systems, tools, and processes to achieve accurate results. In your experience, why do you think that so many companies, specifically property managers, still don't achieve optimal results, even with tools or processes in place? Just your thoughts on that.
Thanks, Trevor. Yes, I still one of my day jobs is a project manager, so I haven't been able to get rid of that. So it's for my sins. I think there's two points to and two reasons for that. The first being leadership. You may recall when we made the leap of faith to take on the CMS in June 21, as business owners and a growing small business, we didn't know what the outcome of that might be. And we also had resistance from staff. Leadership requires that every day, I show by example that the new processes and systems are beneficial to our customers, our staff, so we actually benefit internally, and our service providers. And I think to sum it up, one cannot just talk change. Leadership requires that you show it in what you do. So you can't just, say, yeah, you must do this. This is how we're going to work. We're now working with WeconnectU. You've actually got to walk what they say. You've got to walk the talk, so to speak. And then I think, secondly, it's about people and just building on what Leroy said. He spoke about training, but more specifically about people, and more importantly, their competence and the capability of people. And I think that's one of our single most biggest challenges in our business. The adoption of process and system doesn't guarantee a successful outcome. And it's only when you have committed people and committed staff that apply their acumen, knowledge, and experience that you actually start getting a successful outcome when you apply consistent processes and systems.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think one thing that resonates with what you just said is that it does start with leadership. So I think there's a responsibility on business owners to really make the time to work not just in their business, but on their business, and look at how we can align people, systems, processes to get the magic happening. Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you.
Hendrik, sitting in a sales chair, I often sit in boardrooms, and there's very often these two sets of clients that I deal with. Those guys that sit in the camp of, I'm not communicating my value. I'm just doing the bare minimum. I don't want to communicate too much. I don't want to show too much because it just raises too many questions. Then on the other side of the fence, you've got another camp where there's a real buy-in to communicating value. And as I've come to know you over the years, you're a firm believer of communicating value. Just tell me a little bit about your experience with the benefits of really going all out to communicate your value.
Thanks, Toby. Yeah, you guys stole my thunder a bit. I'm probably going to repeat everything you just said, returning the favor minutes. I thank you. But you know, if I have to be honest, and I don't mean to blow anyone's trumpet here, but I think the importance of communicating value is something that I actually learned through the Engage event. So, you know, well done on that. But I want to put a different spin on it. The thing is, what do our clients perceive as value? I think it is, you know, reporting, updates, feedback, accurate financials, speedy communication, and compliance. So I've, in my mind, summarized it as efficiency and trust. That is what they want. That is what they perceive as value. Now, there are a few ways and reasons why you would want to communicate your value. And I think the first one is the most obvious one. That is by telling people the value you're going to bring. That's a marketing function, and that is what helps you get your clients. But the more difficult reason for you to communicate the value is customer retention. You know, it's much easier and cheaper to keep a client than what it is to get a client in terms of resources. And over the long run, you'll have a much bigger return on investment on your existing clients. So in my experience, the best way to communicate that value is through your actions. You know, people just want to be heard. They don't necessarily want their problem solved right now. It's not always possible, but they want to be heard and they want to know you're doing something about it. They want to know that you are doing what you are being paid for. And I mean, it's simple. It's how you do that is through reporting back, whether it's in meetings, emails, whether it's online. I mean, we've got the tech. We must just learn to use it. And I mean, ironically, if you do this right, it becomes marketing as well, because I mean, word of mouth is your cheapest marketing you can get. So I also feel that, you know what, if the value that you tell people you're gonna give, it is nothing more than a buzzword if you can't deliver on those promises. And I think it's the only way to show our efficiency and to build our trust. And yeah, as it would happen, I'm going to piggyback on you. And the solution is this portal that you're changing and the app that you're bringing in. In fact, I was a little bit thrown now because I'm so excited about all the new developments. But yeah, I think that is where the importance of that value comes from. It's you know, just actions speak louder than words at the end of the day.
I think what I'm hearing is communicating your value and closing the value gap is not just doing one thing, it's doing many things right. And yeah, you're one of the guys that do that. So well done. Jonathan, last question to you is, we've spoken about people, processes, and partnerships. Any last thoughts that you can add or comments regarding bringing those three things together to ultimately become a more valued and valuable property manager?
Just as much as I'd like to live in a perfect world where, you know, people and systems and partners, you know, don't really mean a lot. I think that all three are so important. I mean, our family business, as an example, this year is 173 years old. And I'm sixth generation estate agent. So, you know, I can 100% confirm that our business is built on people and relationships as well. So that hasn't changed. I do want to emphasize that the right people, both internally as staff and our customers, are equally important. You know, it's the amount of time in choosing the right staff, but also choosing the right customers, which is, yeah, in itself a huge time-saving and energy-saving effort. In the property management division, you know, it's built on people, building trust, building relationships, and I think that is what Hendrik's saying is through effective communication. You know, that's absolutely key to building those relationships. I've got an anecdote which I just wanted to share. You know, when you talk about systems, I'm told when the fax machine, Bruce, first came to real estate, we were very excited as a company. We got the first fax machine, only to realize when trying to send through our first agreement that the person on the other end didn't actually have one. So it was a one-way conversation. And so that basically teaches us the lesson that, even with better systems, the all-round adoption of those systems is so important. And that's something that you guys really put a lot of effort into, ensuring that we're up to date on what's available, within your portal. So I think, new systems and people bringing those together strategically in business is important. And that's where I think, it adds to our professional service that we can offer. But the third point is really about adopting those and ensuring that, in that life cycle of the business, partnerships and partnering with companies such as yours is so important, because at the end of the day, as our businesses grow, we need to make sure that we've partnered with the right people. Otherwise, we end up going round and round and round, and we look to our customers as if we don't know what we're doing. So thanks very much for what you guys do.
Thanks so much, Jonathan. Just guys, last thought from my side. Just to land the session, thank you so much for everybody's input. I just want to make a last comment. We are very excited to announce that we are launching our 2024 Engage exclusive in-person events. That's kicking off next month in March. So last year we did it in 4 major cities. We're expanding that this year. We're going to Port Elizabeth and Bloem as well. And these events are going to be used to take today's discussion points in terms of best practice and industry stats, and just take it to another level. We're also going to talk about the solutions in depth, where we're going to unpack how to practically overcome these email challenges and inefficiencies in our business. So guys, the bookings are opening on Monday, so just look out for our mails and invitations. It's a free event, but it is exclusive to WeConnectU CMS clients. So we're really excited about that. We'll see you soon in a town close to you. And thank you so much. Bruce, over to you again.